Hey beautiful people, oh my god, look at the thrill. How are we on this Sunday? I'm just in such a smooth soul vibe today. I was saying earlier, this weekend has by far been the busiest weekend I have had since lockdown. And I clearly can't party how I used to. The tiredness, but the show must go on, darlings. So I'm here. I'm going to wait for a few of you guys to join. This is real relevant right now. And it's episode 13 called The Power of Music. Right now we have some Sade in the background because that's my vibe until we get a few more people joining. And as I said, we've got a wonderful guest today called Shauna. And she's a singer-songwriter. She's from London. Hey Sana Vavana. And we're going to be talking all about her music. She does a lot of charity work. Shauna actually suffered tremendous abuse as a child. So, you know, we're going to hear her story and why she does what she does. Because, yeah, it's just a really powerful story. And I just think she's amazing. She's a sick artist, can I just say. And she has joined us, the beautiful Shauna. Right, let me see if I can get her on. First and foremost, Alexa, can you stop playing, please? I don't know about you, but my Alexa's like really disobedient. She just doesn't shut up sometimes, but she has there, so I'll give her a due thank you. Hey Chelsea, hey Roy. Right, let's get Shauna on the show. She should be coming through any minute. How is everybody? I'm sending you love. Yes, girl. I love that we've got the frozen fleek. It is that Sunday vibe. How are you, beautiful?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So as I was saying to everybody, it's our 13th episode of Real Relevant and right now. We've got the beautiful Shauna, who's a singer-songwriter from London. And we are going to be talking about the power of music. So, Shauna, introduce yourself to everybody that's here right now, baby girl.
Hello, everyone. It's always awkward for me. I'm so socially awkward. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, stop.
Yeah. I'm Shauna. I'm a singer-songwriter from West London. And, I guess that's all there is to say about me, really.
Right now, there's so much more to say because you're an absolute unicorn, magical queen. And we can't get into it. Thank you very much. So Shauna, first of all, I'm going to hit you with a 5-5. Jazz or soul?
Oh, you can't do
Quick
that.
time. Jazz or soul?
Oh, jazz.
Hot or cold?
Hot.
Meditation or yoga?
Meditation.
Brandy or Monica?
Ooh, brandy.
Me time or social time?
Me time.
Love that. Straight me time every time. How's your weekend been? Have you been taking some time for you? Have you been partying hard?
Oh, girl, you know I don't party. No, honestly, I've just been at home. I've had to wait for a delivery of wardrobe, so it's not that exciting. I've not moved into my new flat not too long ago, so I got a delivery this morning. So yeah, building a lot of furniture.
I love it. I'm loving
how's
it.
Your weekend been, girl?
It has been crazy. Like I was literally saying before, this is like the first weekend since lockdown that I've partied all weekend, and my soul cannot handle it.
I've got
two. Like, jeez, Louise, we're getting old.
We've got 2 social events to go to next week. One on Saturday and one on Sunday.
Yeah.
Let's see if my mental capacity will allow me.
Literally, I was saying to my best friends before, I was like, how did we used to do this? Like 3-4 days in a row.
A week. Yeah, I
don't get it. I don't know. There must have been something in the Red Bull. I'm not sure. But Shauna, so let's get into you and your music. How did you first get into music and why did you start writing your songs?
Well, I've always enjoyed singing since I was young. So I think it was more about just doing something I enjoyed and something that felt good, you know?
Yeah.
Which was important during my childhood. So I started off just like in school choirs, school plays. And then the school choir actually started to travel to France and abroad. And I used to go with them and perform like solo singing. And I really enjoyed it. And then it wasn't until I got to like high school where I started writing poetry. And I was kind of like, hang on a minute, I could definitely like mix my poetry and my singing and like songwrite. Like I was like, that could really work. So I kind of was like, you know, I wrote songs, but it was only ever for me, just like, you know, healing or a way of getting my thoughts down when I wasn't, you know, able to articulate myself in other ways, or, you know, so I just started songwriting, and then before you know it, fast forward to 2017, and I'm releasing like my first single. I decided it was that time that I wanted to, having lost my nan previously, the year before. I just said, you know what, life's too short, and I want to do, you know what I mean, I want to actually put a single out there and start getting you know, my music out there. And that's kind of how it started, to be honest.
How your journey began. No,
Yeah,
and
like
something that I really
professionally.
love. No, 100%. And something that I really love, that I know like it's written in your bio and on your website, but you actually said like you used to come home from school, listen to
Yeah.
music and cry, not because you were sad, but
No.
just because you were so moved by the music, which I think is so powerful in itself.
I never really used to understand as a child like the power of music. Like, I know that I have a very musical family in the sense that not necessarily playing instruments or singing, but everybody loved good music. You know, there was always
Yeah,
a lot of good music, and it was played continuously in my house. Whether
yeah.
someone's cooking or someone's cleaning, there's always an excuse to put music on. And like, there would be certain songs where like I'd be listening to and I feel myself welling up and I'm crying. I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful. And I had a love for music from a very, very young age. And yeah, I really felt the power of music, but I didn't necessarily understand how to use that until I was old enough and I had the maturity to understand what that
No,
feeling was, you know?
100%. Yeah. It's almost like you had to navigate through it. And I'm such a believer, like music is a universal language. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
It is
100%, 100%. Like, sometimes we listen to songs and, like, you know, the Colour Show is a prime example. Sometimes we get artists on there that they don't speak like a word of English, and you don't understand what they're saying, but you're feeling the melody, you're feeling the rhythm, and you're dancing along. You're like, oh, I don't know what language this is, what they're saying, but
100%.
you know what I mean. And it's a music is a language almost in itself. You know, it translates into other things, into emotion, into happiness, into anger, into sadness, and that's what people relate to, and that's what makes it so powerful. You know.
Definitely. And that's, you know, one of my experiences with that. I actually had a family member that ended up in a mental hospital, and
Okay.
I'd gone to visit him, and we were in this courtyard, like sat outside, and I was talking to him, and he was quite low, but there was so many different people with so many different mental health issues around us.
Yeah.
You know, there was someone shouting profanities, there was someone, you know, talking about how she'd been on X Factor, and there was
Yeah.
so much craziness going on. And out of nowhere, he just said to me, Kirst, sing us a song. And I sang this little a cappella, and
Yeah.
it moved me emotionally, because that was almost like a wow, music is
Yeah.
power. Because this entire courtyard, Shauna, with about 20 people, just went silent. In that moment, it's like everyone just like tuned into that frequency, to the melody, and everything else, all the busyness that was happening and going around, you know,
Yeah.
and I was just like, wow, do you know what I mean? Because everybody here, everyone's mind's working so differently, but this is such a way, like, I'm such a believer that music is therapy as well. There's so many ways in
Absolutely.
which we can, you know, use music to
Yeah.
heal,
For
like you
for
say.
sure. For sure. For sure.
No, 100%, which I just think is and like you say, I think music also evokes emotion. Like, I remember watching something on YouTube about scientifically how 80% of our bodies are made up of water. The different kind of vibrations that music is recorded in is why we move in a certain way. So it's like, you know, when you listen to house music, you kind of want to just dance and bubble,
Get that
and it's because
vibe,
like the
that
water in
fever.
us is doing those movements.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really, really powerful, I think. So yeah, really, really interesting. But Shauna, so I know that you've spoken really openly about the fact that you suffered tremendous childhood trauma when you were
Yeah.
younger,
Yeah.
and consequently you have a passion, and you've done a lot of charity work with domestic abuse, sexual abuse,
Yeah. Yeah.
child
Yeah.
sexual abuse, mental abuse. Tell
Yeah.
us a bit more about like the charities you've worked with and what kind of work you've done and why.
So basically, like, as a result of being abused, like, when you're younger, you don't necessarily understand the healing journey that you have to face. Normally, well, not normally, I shouldn't use that word, but I mean, stereotypically, statistics show that someone that has been abused often feels like they're the only one that's been abused, or that they're alone in their
Yeah.
journey. And that's a lot, you know, I felt like that for a long time, until I was in like my early 20s, and I decided, you know what, I don't want to feel like my experiences define me. So
Mm-hmm.
I decided to use my experience to then help others, reaching out to different charities, different campaigns, and thinking about how I can move forward, you know, and not just heal myself, but help others to heal. Because if I realized that there were so many charities and campaigns and people out there who are there to help, I probably would have sought help a lot sooner. Like, I know everything happens for a reason and in its time, but I wish I knew that these things were available to me sooner. So, you know, I speak about, you know, overcoming in my songs, but I also do a lot of work behind the scenes, like you say, with different charities to, you know, get us talking about taboos topics, you know, in certain cultures, in certain families, you know, things like this aren't spoken about. And, you know, a lot of people are still battling with their scars and battling with, you know, their abuse and the history of what they're facing with. So I think it's always, you know, just nice to be that one person that puts up a hand and say, you know what, look, I'm here to help, or I'm here to offer help, or look, if I can't help you professionally, look, there's people that are.
Somebody else that you
know.
can. Yeah.
So it's just about doing that, really, and not about, it's more about self-love rather than over self-pity. And I think it took me a long time to realize the reason why I wasn't healing is because I was just literally rolling around in self-pity and asking myself, why did this happen to me? Rather than saying, like, right, it's happened, I can't change it. How can I change my narrative? How can I change the way in which I live my life day to day? And that's kind of, you know, how I approached it.
Yeah, which I applaud you, because that is that's like you going from strength to strength. Do you know what I mean? For you to even internalize that, go through that process and say, hey, this is now what I want to make of my life, which I think is so commendable to you. And I actually had a guest on the show, Bemende, and I'd actually love for you guys to link up, because it was a very similar kind of story. We spoke of her story as she was a survivor of child sexual abuse, and she was like in your position where she's like, you know, I did think I was the only person. And then I had to get to a point in my life where I realized as well that, you know, yes, I accept this happened to me, but I'm not going to allow it to define me. Absolutely. And now she's doing, you know, speaking her story to help others out there, exactly what you're doing. And I just think you guys are commendable people. And one of the things that I found really interesting with you actually is that you said, you know, you say it's about changing the narrative.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that. What do you mean when you talk about that?
So there are, you know, people, as much as there are hundreds and thousands of people that have been abused, or someone that knows somebody that has been abused, there are some people that don't. And often, like, you know, we've got directors, we've got songwriters, we've got people writing about situations or trying to create a narrative around something that they don't, like, know something about. So, you know, some of these charities that I work with talk about changing the taboos. So, like, you know, the idea is that, you know, abused people are these frail, tiny, like, you know, scared people, or that we're hopeless, and, you know, or we're always tarnished, or that we can't live happy lives, or we're crazy, or, you know, all these, you get so many different stereotypes. And it's about changing that, you know, like changing the way in which, you know, sometimes one of the charities I work with are called On-Road Media.
Okay.
You know, you can work alongside people, actually request to speak to survivors so they can accurately, you know what I mean, show the story rather than doing it off a stereotype. Because a lot of times you do watch like rape scenes on the TV, or you watch it and it's like this big fiasco, and you're like, it doesn't, you know, sometimes it does happen like that, but it doesn't always happen like that. It doesn't have to be like, you know, sometimes there's subtleties in abuse. Sometimes, you know what I mean, survivors go on for years and years and years before they do heal, and then they have that journey in between. So it's about understanding the dynamics of it, understanding the stories, understanding that culturally things are different as well, and understanding that it goes way deeper than just, oh, someone's been abused and this is what I think they're going to be like, you know. So that's part of the charity work that I do.
Yeah, no, which is absolutely amazing. And I think it's also, like you say, people do, we, you know, as just human beings, I suppose, we create these stereotypes. And actually, when it comes to anything like that, it can happen to anybody, first and foremost. And 9 times out of 10, it will happen to the people that you least expect it to, because you see them as in this light, or you see them as this person. And I think I so understand that when it's about breaking that down and actually humanizing it in the sense of people to have understanding, you know, without judgment as well, because I think that's really important, especially when it comes to people wanting to talk their story or seek help, and, you know, with what you're doing. And I also read that, Shauna, you actually did a speech in front of politicians about being a survivor and how survivors need to get help.
It was actually so mad. So after I actually completed like my counselling, like I said, I did that with Women in Girls Network. And after I completed it, I said to them, look, if you ever need me to do, you know, from a survivor's perspective, ever need me to, you know, do what I do with my music, which is obviously talking about the survivor's story somewhat, and or if you ever need me to speak or whatever, just reach out to me. And all these years later, I got a request to take part in some research for IMCAN. Now, IMCAN specialise in working with ethnic and minoritized women and children. So for me, that is something particular, because I spoke about this during my counselling, and we spoke about the ideas that, you know, when you are abused, how you heal from that, and your environment can also be very different. Same like what we said about the interview last week in regards to, you know, if you were brought up in a church household, or if you're brought up in a Jamaican household or an Indian household or a Somali household, people deal with things differently, and we have to represent that correctly. So I feel that, you know, they're a great charity, but basically they asked me to be a part of the research in regards to a really big report, basically, is as much as I probably can say about it, but it's a really big report. And this got released, and I was on the panel. We had you know, politicians there, and I just spoke a bit about my story. I performed my song, and my song was actually published in the final report, Better Days. That was actually published in the final report. It was a really, really like empowering experience.
Wow. No, and I was actually going to speak about Better Days, because that I remember that being one of the first tracks when we first met, because we actually met at an event, didn't we, like just over a year ago? And I was hosting, you were singing, and I just remember our vibes just connected, didn't we? And I was just like, we were sat there listening to each other's EPs before the show started.
I was like, oh, who's this?
And I was just like, oh my God, I love your energy, like you're amazing, literally. But Better Days was one of the first songs that I heard. And delve a little bit more into that, because that song really moved my heart. And one of the lines that really stuck out to me is, it's my life, I chose to survive, I am free, which I just think is your power, that's your energy. But tell us a little bit more about what made you write that song.
Well, you know, I was in a bit of a turning point in my life where I had decided that, you know, the healing journey is never necessarily over. You can start it and you can do a course of counselling, and then you're met with a new healing journey, something deeper. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's one chakra or another that's going to be blocked, or one you know what I mean? You always have to continually work on yourself. And it's one thing that, you know, sometimes it's okay to have bad days, it's okay to, you know what I mean, heal in your own time. But it just got to a point where I was just like, do you know what, like, I really want to write down like my overcoming. Like, I want to write about that healing journey. And I just thought, you know what, I am gonna put it out into the universe and put it in black and white and actually publish it and put that out there and say, do you know what, although I know I still have healing to do, I've come so far. Do you know what I mean? This is my life. I chose to survive. I'm free now. You know, it's my life to do what I want to do. I'm not going to be held down by, you know, these stereotypes of, like, you know, I did feel a lot of the stereotypical feelings, like feeling tarnished, feeling alone, feeling helpless. I did feel those things at first, but it wasn't my narrative, and I didn't want to stick in that narrative. So Better Days is about overcoming that, you know? It's about powering through. But I called it the survivor's story, you know?
100%. And I think, you know, that is one of your songs that really moved me. It made me feel emotional, because I think listening to it, it takes you on a journey of where you were at to where you are now on your way to. You know, 100%. And I think that is so important. When you say, like, with healing, it's like, it's almost like leveling up or ripping off a layer of an onion. It's like we get past the first bit, then, you know, something else will come, and we've got to overcome that. And I just think when it comes to healing, growth, it is a continuous process. Do you know what I mean? Growth is something that never ends until the day we die. So, you know, it's about understanding and accepting that every day is going to be part of that healing process. And I really felt that. I felt like I really connected with you as an artist and as a person, I suppose, listening to that song. It's such a beautiful song, and it's empowering. It's almost like it's almost like at the very beginning, you feel all this emotion, but it's like at the very end, I just wanted to smile. Like, yes. Do you know what I mean? It's that energy. Like, I love that track.
For real.
Yeah,
and
no, fully.
I wanted it to, you know, find that balance, because I didn't want it to be, you know, all that like poor me energy, like, oh, this happened. And as much as, like I said to you before, like, as much as I speak about my abuse, I try not to make it feel like it's a pity party. It's kind of like, okay, this has happened now, and this is how I'm moving on from it. And I think, you know, Better Days documents that, like, really well.
Yeah. And also that is your journey, and that is how you are firing through, which I just think, like, do your thing. What works for you you know, works for you, and that is the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Literally. No. And Shauna, describe your style in 3 words.
What, like, when you
Only
say
3.
style, do you mean like my
Your style of
spiritual style,
music,
the
your
way I dress, the
vibe,
style of my music, the style of the
your
way I
style of your
sing?
music.
The style of my music. Okay, so I don't really have one particular style, for the simple fact is when I started singing, I had no idea what I wanted to release. I just wanted to release music that I loved. I've never wanted to
Yes.
release music for a particular genre or a particular thing. So I guess if you're trying to break it down, it's probably a bit of soul, bit of jazz, bit of R&B in there. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, I write everything. I write to reggae. I write, sometimes I've been requested in my writing sessions to write rap. I write everything, and whatever comes to me is what I write. So I never really like to compartmentalize myself or pigeonhole myself into a specific box, because I feel it hinders my creativity. Like one time I was feeling so salty about a situation that I just got on, I wrote down a song, and I was like, yeah. And it was a little trappy beat, and I was like, yeah, cool. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be soul, it doesn't have to be jazz, but obviously soul, jazz, R&B, that's where sort of my influences came from. So I guess that's sort of like the hub of it. But really and truly, like if I'm feeling to write a trappy beat because I'm feeling salty, I'll write to a trappy beat. Do you know what I mean? If I want to write something sexy, like energy, I'll write something sexy. Do you know what I mean? It's how I'm feeling, and I think I always want my music to be a result of how I'm, like an organic result of how I'm feeling. I never want it to feel structured. Whenever I've been put into a situation where I feel like I have to structure my music, it never excels as well as it just takes naturally from me. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, which I think is testament to your artistry, your artist development, I suppose, as well, and also your authenticity, because like you say, it's like that whole process of healing and growth. If you're feeling to jump on a rap beat and spit some bars, do your thing, let that energy out. Do you know what I mean? I can, and even if it's something that I don't necessarily want to put out there, for me it just needs to come out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's what it is. Sometimes you're just feeling about something, you just want to write it down, and that's just how it comes out. So
no, definitely. And I know when we spoke earlier in the week, Shawnee, you were like, music and writing music it's never been about the fame for you. For you, it's about the power of music. Like, where do you see yourself in the industry? Where do you want to be? What do you want to do?
Well, like, to be honest with you, like, as much as I love being an artist, like the songwriting for me is the main thing that I love. So if I was actually to make music solidly, it wouldn't, necessarily be from being an artist and being out there, because like I said, like I'm not your stereotypical like in your face artist. I'm very much like I like my own time. I like being in my onesie at home, drinking my cup of tea. Like I'm not out there like that. So for me, like being behind the scenes, like maybe writing some bangers, that would be where I would be at, and I would be happy being there. I wouldn't necessarily always want to be in the limelight, as much as it's nice. Do you know what I mean? Like if someone said to me, right, do you know what, here's 10 mil, be an artist, I'm not going to be like, no.
Right.
But
She's going to be like, I'm there.
Time, like if I think about where I'm going and where my music journey has taken me, it's more gone into the charity and campaigning side of things and writing, you know what I mean, for purpose's sake, writing for a reason. And that's what I like. I don't just want to be, I've always had a fear of like if I was to be an artist, that eventually someone would be dictating to me like what I do, and I've never wanted that. So I've just organically gone with where my journey has taken me, and it's taken me to some amazing places like Houses of Parliament. I never would have thought I would have been a House of Parliament. I never would have thought that my music would be on BBC Radio 1 Extra, or I would have been, being interviewed by Judy. Like all these things have happened, and they've happened organically for me when they need to happen. So I just see myself going wherever the universe takes me. I haven't preempted anything,
No, I love that, and just kind of staying true to you, I suppose.
Absolutely,
I think that is the best way.
I am, like, and some people find it hard, and sometimes people think it's a testament to my drive, but it's nothing to do with my drive. Like I'm a very driven person when it comes to my music. Before lockdown, I've had like more things coming out of my ears than I could, imagine. But at the same time, like I still feel like I want to take time for me and still be me and be true to me. And I just don't know how much of that I can do being like a big famous artist. You just never know. So
no, I hear what you're saying, because it's important to have that balance, especially when you know yourself. Absolutely. And do you know what I mean, when you need your time and you need your break. So I can completely understand what you're saying. Correct. And when it comes to you songwriting, if there was anybody in the world that you could collaborate with, who would it be?
What, as in to write a song for?
And perform with.
And
so write and perform, yes.
Do they have to be alive?
No.
I would have loved to sing with any of any of the really, really big jazz singers. So any of the Billie Holidays, Etta
Yes.
James. Like, I would really love to sing in front of like a live jazz band and just let it take me away, like almost like when Nina Simone gets possessed behind that piano and the music takes her. I want that feeling of having that jazz band behind me and doing that. And that could be with anyone, the likes of Etta James, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, you know, like even like a modern day version of Amy Winehouse, for example. Like, I would have loved to do that, just have that jazz. Like, that would be
Vibe,
the pinnacle for me.
100%.
Yeah.
No, I feel like I can so relate to that, because I always say I feel like I was born in the wrong era. Like, I wish that it was a mic, the band behind me, cigarette in one hand, whiskey in the other. Let's go, guys. You know, like that old school. Yes.
For real.
Do you sometimes feel that your soul was born in the wrong era? Like, do you wish you could go back to like 1920s?
I've always felt like I was ahead of my time, or older than my time, or that I've been here before. I don't think that's the first time that my spirit has graced this earth. And I do feel like I'm a little bit wiser and ahead of my time. And I've been told that since I was a young child, you know. Evidently, I know I had to grow up quickly because of my situation. But despite that, I still feel like my decisions and my choices, like, I've never been no follow fashion monkey. Like, I don't follow other people. I don't do what other people do. I've always just done me. And that's just how it is. You know what I mean? So
no, 100%. I love that. And when we talk back to about your songwriting, do you feel like, I feel like you've kind of already answered this question, but do you feel like there's like a theme to your songs, or is it just literally, like you say, a natural outlet? You know, like Beautiful is about self-love, Solitude is about taking time for you when you need to take time for you. Do you feel like there's a theme, or is it literally just naturally what comes to you?
Well, to be honest with you, like, because I've just released singles, I was trying to find my feet. So, like, I know releasing singles out into the public probably isn't the best way to experiment with your music, but that's just what I felt like doing. I was like, you know what? I'm going to release sometime. Oh, I'm feeling this. I'm going to release energy. Like, I just literally was just releasing, like, little bits of me, you know, like different parts. So there wasn't necessarily a through line, but I am actually working on 2 separate bodies of work, which I haven't named yet, but they have more like a through line to them. Like, one is very spiritual, kind of very like neo soul-y, kind of vibey, and then it's got like a bonus track at the end, which is like a trap track. And then like
Shauna.
Like, and then I've got like another body of work which I'm working on, and that's more like, I guess that's more modern, only not because I need to prove myself to anything, but I just, you know, there are certain, you know, songs and certain things that I like in the UK at the moment, and that vibe that I like. So I said, you know what, I can jump on a UK vibe as well, you know. But then there's, you know, like 3-track EPs that I've written that I've never released. Some of them are reggae. Do you know what I mean? Like, I am Jamaican. Both my parents are Jamaican, so reggae is a big influence to me. I've written reggae tunes, you know, that I've never released. So my music will come out. Like, I'm sitting on so much music, and that's probably why I do feel so laid back, because I thought, you know what, if I want to drop this single tomorrow, I'm going to drop this single. Or if I want to drop this body of work, I'll drop this body of work. You know, I'm not rushing. Like, this lockdown, I've taken a lot of time for me. I've not felt pressured by nobody. I came off the internet as well for a little bit, and I was just like, do you know what, like, the internet's not going nowhere. When I want to come back, I come back, you know. So
no, 100%. And when you said before, like, you releasing singles, you don't know if it's like the right thing to do, I actually think, my personal opinion, I think you doing that is fire, because effectively, you're finding your feet, but you're also giving audience a bit of you. So you're going to find out what's working with them as well, because obviously being an artist, being a singer, you're doing your thing, but you also want to get that kind of reciprocation from your audience. Do you know what I mean? So I actually think what you're doing is brilliant, to be fair.
I'm doing what's right for me. And when I say, don't get me wrong, when I say it's not the best thing to do, like, in relation to industry, because I've had many people approach me and say, look, I really feel like I could be your manager, or approach me and give me advice. And I'm always open. I'm never a closed book. So, like, if someone wants to give me their advice or give me their opinion, I'm always open to listen, but I don't always have to act on it, you know. Like, I'm always willing to learn from different walks of life. And I think, like, many people have this vision that you've got to release like this, or you've got to release like that. So in the music industry, maybe I'm not following the exact path, but I've never been one to follow the rules, you know. I've never been one to stick in a box. So that's just how it is, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I definitely think that right now, actually, I think the way that we've got kind of social media and so much access to it as an artist, and the way it's kind of like, as an artist, you don't need to rely heavily on the industry as much as maybe as what you did before to have a successful career. So actually staying in your own box is a real way to the top, because you can fully stay in control of what it is, to an extent, of what you want to do and what you want to produce. if you get that following behind you, which I think
Well,
is really
absolutely.
powerful.
Well, there's no one out there to exploit me because I've not put myself in a situation to be exploited. You know what I mean? I've gone on my journey
Yeah,
for a very specific reason. So, you know, if I've let people use my songs, you know, for whether they want to use it for a short film or whether they want to use it for a project to help somebody else, like my music is about healing and about a journey, and it's very personal to me. And
yes,
you know, it's just by chance that some people have related to it and that it's taken me to some brilliant places, and I'm very, very grateful for that. But you know, like, even if tomorrow from now on nothing ever happened again, I would still be happy because I know I've helped people. I know that I've done charity work, and I've always said that even if I just change one person's life, or if one person reaches out to me, that is always going to be give me gratitude over someone giving me a check. And people go,
yeah,
oh, what? So if someone gave you a check, you would, of course, if someone gave me a check, that would be different. You know what I mean? But like, it would be like, okay, I'll take the check or whatever. But I would still consider being true to myself in that process,
yes.
you know. And I would never want to lose myself in the process of doing my music. And my music has always just been about doing what I want, you know. It's never been about doing what I'm told to do. So
No, completely. And I also think as well, you know, even just you singing, and it's something
yeah,
I've always said, people that can sing, it's a gift that is given to us, and not everybody can do that. So
yeah,
even you just singing your song, whether it is to one people, five people, putting your music out there, you're giving that gift of your beauty, your honesty. Do you know what I mean? And you're
yeah.
touching so many people on such a different level that you're going to get that back in tenfold, 110%,
I hope
100%.
so. I hope
Sure, no, you will, because that's the energy you're doing. Like I said, not everyone can sing, and you know, like we spoke about earlier in the interview,
yeah,
music is power,
yeah,
and it's a
100%.
universal language. So what you're saying to us over here in London, someone in Japan could be listening, crying in my room, thinking, "Oh my God, I felt like this too," and you
Yeah,
will never know. But you're putting that energy out there, and I think that is the most important thing. Energy never lies. We can't see it, but it's there, you know.
it is
And I think
there.
that's
It's
really
mad
that's
because
power in itself.
I didn't even know, like, I'm so, like, not technical. And this is one thing I do wish I would do, like, on a serious note, one thing I do wish that I had done with my music is I do release it and then I don't do anything with it. I don't promote it, or I don't, like, you know, do marketing campaigns or whatever with it. I'm kind of like, right, okay, what am I feeling now? And then I release it. So one thing I will probably do at one point is market all my music properly. But I actually checked PRS the other day and didn't realize that I had a check waiting for me. I was like, oh, so people have been listening to my music then. And then
Yes.
you actually log in and you see your stats and you see your streams and you're like, oh my God, someone's listening to me in Canada. Someone's listening to me here. I was like, okay. Do you know what I mean? And like, you know,
A hundred
you get your
percent.
comments and stuff, and it's all the stuff behind the scenes that makes me feel good. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've never done it for show or done it for anybody's approval. So even if 10 people listen to my song and be like, do you know what? That song slaps. That's good enough for me, you know? Like, I don't need to have
Yeah.
10,000 streams and people telling me, like, you know what I mean? I don't. Like, I just know that I'm making good quality music that comes from the soul, and that's all that matters to me, you know?
No, and I love that. And I love that
Yeah.
authenticity about you and you as a person, but also you as an artist. And your latest release was Stand Up, right? And you released
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
during lockdown when the whole Black Lives Matter movement happened. Talk to us about that song, because I love that track.
So I actually started writing this way before, like, you know, the recent events in London, and before, you know, the unfortunate events of George Floyd. Like, I wrote this from before because it's just injustices that I felt personally, and I just wanted to discuss it because I was actually going from a perspective of being a Black person in a corporate world. Now, for
Okay.
me, like, that made I've faced some really, like systemic racism, like, at work over the years, and it really made me think to myself, do you know what, like, there's so many things out there, and we really need to so many different, I say things, that's not very specific, so many different so many different situations that we faced as Black people. And you know, I just wanted to write something that was a little uplifting, and then I wrote it and I put it down for a little bit, and then the whole George Floyd thing happened. I was like, do you know what, this, I need to finish this and just get it out there.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. It just started with a feeling of injustice, really. And then obviously when this whole thing happened, I was like, you know what, it's really time to get this track out. It's just, again, it was just something I'm feeling, and I just put it out there.
Yeah, no, 100%. And did you feel like you got more of a response back because you released it at the time of Black Lives Matter and what was going on, or like, do
A
you feel
lot
like
of
you got
people were
enough?
messaging me. A lot of people were sending me messages. I had a lot of WhatsApp because you send your broadcast out and whatever. And I had a lot of WhatsApp messages, a lot of messages, and people were saying they liked the song. But again, I didn't promote it. I just had a feeling. I released it and I just put it out there. You know, I
And
didn't
that
really
was
do
it.
it. Yeah, but
Do you feel like that is because you are still very much in your healing process? So for you, it's like, I'm going to get all these beautiful words, put them together. I'm going to now like let them out as almost like a form of therapy, and we're going to leave them there for a hot minute.
you know what? It's not even that. Like at first it was that, but now it's just a case of, do you know what? Like I've already decided that like being a big artist isn't something that I'm necessarily striving to become. So
Okay.
it's not like I feel I don't not like I feel I don't need to do anything with it, but it's like, do you know what? This is what I'm feeling at the time, and
Yeah.
something that I've always said to myself is try not to harbor feelings inside, and that's part of my healing journey. So like I just feel like, you know, if I'm feeling it and I want to get it off my chest, I get it off my chest by means of music.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So it was just a thing where I just had to get it off my chest, and I did.
No,
Apart
and I
from
love
that,
that
you know,
because,
like,
yeah, no, 100%. And I love that because I know I was speaking to you about it, and I've spoken to loads of people about it on the show, but that was the whole reason why I started this show, Real Relevant and Right Now. Because I think if we keep anything inside us, whether it's a laugh, cry, happiness, sadness, it will kill us. We have to let it out in one form or another. You need to shout for 2 minutes, shout for 2 minutes. You need to go for a jog, go for a jog. You want to sing, sing. You want to write, write. However it is, we have to, as human beings, get more used to and humanize the fact of letting our feelings out. Because I spoke a little bit about it last week, you know, there's very, like we were talking about before, culturally and the way that we kind of brought up and how things were back then. You know,
yeah,
I remember people used to say, don't cry when you cried. And it's kind of like, but hold on, you're telling me to, I'm feeling like I want to cry. But by
yeah,
telling me don't cry, I'm now pushing that sadness deep into my soul. And
yeah,
one day it's going to come up, and it's going to come up probably 10 times worse. And I'm not going to have a clue what to do with it. You know,
yeah.
and I think it's so damaging when people do things like that. Like if you've got an emotion, let it out. It's so important, and that is why, you know, I started this show, and I just want people to talk about it. And yeah, I can agree with you and totally relate when you say writing things out for me is part of my
A form
process.
of
And
release. It's a form of release,
yes,
and I think, you know, like people sometimes feel like you owe them something. My musical journey is because I owe myself something. You know what I mean? I took time
yes, I love
away from
that.
myself for so many years of having all these negative feelings and not realizing how much it was taken from my soul. And now I'm building that back up bit by bit. You know what I mean? Like even if it's broken and it looks like a mosaic, it's still pretty to me. You know what I mean? Putting it back
Yes,
bit by bit and growing spiritually, mentally. Like it's just a journey. And like if people want to join me on the journey, that is so blessed. If people don't understand it, that's also blessed. Everybody sees things from their own reality, and we can't control what other people think of us. So you know,
completely.
we just do what we do, and that's what I've always been that way, you know.
Yeah, no, I love that. And do you have any collaborations on the cards, Shauna? Is there anyone you're working with? Are you looking to work with people when it comes to songwriting?
Yeah, like I really wanted to do something that was a bit different in relation to like not any of the genres that I'd worked with before. So there's a gentleman called Will who I actually, when I headlined last year, I did a gig. He
Mm.
was actually he was on stage, and I thought he was such a sick artist, and he was so different to me, you know, different to what I'd seen. And he was such a down to earth person. I met him and his missus, and he was like proper cool. And he hit me up and he was like, "Oh, do you want to, do you want to collab?" And I said, "You know what? Yeah, like he's a completely different genre to what I've worked with before. He's got like a really edgy vibe." And I said, "Yeah, come, let's go." So he sent me a beat last week, and we're gonna like get some work done. And there's also a producer called Briss who I'd met at a producer event, and yeah, like he sent me some fire kind of like R&B soul beats, so I'll definitely be
Nice.
collabing with him too. I've been writing. There's so many so many artists and stuff that have reached out to me, but like I said, like I've taken a lot of time for myself
Time for you.
lockdown. So it's not to say I'm neglecting anyone that's messaging me, because people might be watching now, but yeah, I'm not neglecting anybody, but I'm just, taking time for me right now.
Yeah,
So
doing what you need to do, which I think is most important. What does the future hold for you, Shauna?
ask the universe. I don't know, man. The universe takes me wherever it wants to take me. I just try and live life do everything through love and not ego, and just try and live my
I
life
love that.
happily. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's gonna come from me. You don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, and I never like to preempt what's gonna happen. But hopefully, happiness and, you know what I mean, high vibrations all the way, and hopefully, I'll just stay blessed as I am right now. You know.
No, amen. Shauna, before we go, we've literally only got about 5 minutes. Will
Okay.
you give our viewers a beautiful performance? Pretty
A
please.
performance. I mean, I'm not really. I can
Sing a
do little
1-2
bit.
song with that gorgeous voice of yours.
Sing a little bit of Beautiful. We can do a little bit of that if you want, because I wasn't
Yes,
really
please.
prepared to sing, but yeah, why not? Why not? Why not? Yeah. So, let's go. I don't have to fit into your box, and I don't have to please you by being someone I'm not. Stereotypes, judgment, and taboo. You diss the clothes I wear, but yet you've not stood in my shoes. Wig or an afro with makeup or natural. No one else is you, and that's your gift. Your height, tall or short, size, big or small. What other people think of you is not your business. You just do you, live in your truth. No one can do you quite like you do. You are whole on your own. Self-love starts at home. Be you, be you, be beautiful. Be you, be beautiful. Oh, me and my
Yes,
dry
you're
throat. I just got some water in my
amazing. Literally. Oh, your voice. Like, whenever you sing, I just feel mesmerized by you. Literally, Shauna. I can't. There's something about you when you perform fully. You're mad, like magical. No, that was beautiful. Literally.
Thank you. You're beautiful.
Love you, woman. So just tell everybody before we go, where can they find you, baby girl?
Well, you can find me on all social. Is at Her Name Is Shauna, SHAUNA, and it's www.hernamisshauna.com. So yeah,
And your music is across all digital platforms, right?
all digital platforms. I tend to release my music across all digital platforms, so you should be able to find me on one or another. All my music that I release is always in my bio. I have a link tree in there. It takes you to all my music, and it takes you to all of my music videos as well. Takes you to the website. Anything that's coming up. I've got a show coming up on the 19th of September at Gigi's Bar in Hoxton. So if you want to come down,
amazing.
you can grab a ticket from my bio. You can come down and watch and catch a vibe. Obviously, social distancing and all that jazz and the hand sanitizer. But yeah, like it's all been set up to government guidelines. So if you want to come down and you feel like you've been really locked down like me, come out. Come
Yes,
out. Thank you everyone for joining. I've seen a few people come in. I've seen Christina come in. I've seen a few people sending me their love and that. So I send love back to everyone for tuning in and that.
Yeah, there's been so much love. Everyone's saying how amazing you are. Beautiful, beautiful, great stuff. I'll be sure to check you out. Shauna, you've been amazing. And anybody else that's listening, I love you. And anyone else that's listening and watching, I know we spoke a little bit before about the charities that you work with. I'll make sure I tag them so people can check them out if they feel they need any help.
There's also before we go, there's a page on my actual website that says Charities, and it explains what each charity and campaign does. So you could, and it's got a link to each one as well, so you should actually go out and check what they do as a as a unit. So yeah, you could do that.
Amazing. Shauna, keep being the magical unicorn that you are. I love you. Thank you so much.
Love you too, Cass.
This is Real Relevant and Right Now, episode 13, The Power of Music. My beautiful guest, Shauna. I will see you guys soon.
Peace.
Bye. Peace, baby.
See ya.